Hi, thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. My name is Alissa Henry, but today we are talking to 5 fabulous authors about their books that are out right now. We're going to have a great conversation. What I'm going to do is talk to each author individually. You can just sit back and listen. If you have any questions, you can write in a question and maybe we can answer those throughout, and we'll show you how you can get in contact with the authors as this webinar keeps going. So thank you so much for joining us. So happy to have all you authors here. Hello, everyone.
Hi, thank
you.
you.
That's when we're all unmuted, but now we're all going to mute so we can talk to each author individually. We're going to start with Miss Fiona Eckersley. Your book is called Too Scared to Love Again, The Divorced Woman's Guide to Sidestep the Red Flags, Delight in Dating, and Find the Love You Deserve. So I had the opportunity to read your book. Very interesting, but tell us why you decided to write this book.
Well, I've been working with women after divorce for several years now. And there's a whole backstory to that too. I went through my own divorce 10 years ago. Big shock to the system. I had no idea it was coming. And it left me in a place where I just spiraled down and ended up jobless and scared to get into another crazy relationship. It was ruining my relationships with my kids, all this conflict and everything. And I managed to crawl my way out of it and lose the negative emotions and all of that stuff. So that's how I started working with women after divorce in the first place. And then as I've been working with women, a big subject that comes up repeatedly is, it's just feeling like you want a partner in life. You just feel lonely. You're tired of everything being on you all the time. And it's a question of, how do you do that? Because there are so many other people out there that you think are the right guy for you, but you're just repeating old patterns, right? And it doesn't work out. And so that's why I decided to, because I've done it myself, as I always say, there's no judgment from me because I already did it, right? So I decided to look into this more deeply when the women I've worked with and my own experiences, and just put a kind of guide how to protect yourself and go about it the right way.
One of the things you talk about in your book is you say that it's for women who feel like they're too something to find that love they deserve, maybe too tall or too short or too enthusiastic, too calm. What do you say to those women who do feel like they're, they've been through a divorce, they might feel like that they are at fault in some way and they're too something to start that new relationship and find love? What do you say to them?
Unfortunately, that's most of us. And a lot of women feel like we're too something, right? And you're putting it on yourself. Oh, I can't find a relationship because of this thing that's wrong with me. Well, that's not true, because first of all, it's not wrong with you. You're not too anything, right? Everybody's good the way they are. If you haven't met the right person yet, that's what it means. There's someone out there who knows you're not too enthusiastic, I look back on my relationship with my ex-husband, and frankly, he didn't really like me very much. I mean, we were not compatible at all. I was too much for him. But you know what? I'm not too much for somebody else. It's not anything wrong with him. It's just that we just did not work out. And that's the thing. You got to, you're not too tall. You're not too short. You're not too fat. You're not too enthusiastic. You have to find the person that loves you for who you are. And you're not going to adapt yourself to fit what they want, because that is a recipe for disaster.
Talk to me a little bit about letting go of your story to this point and how important that is, how the stories we tell ourselves and how that can potentially hold women back from finding that new love of their lives.
Yeah, that is very important. If you're still looking at everything that's gone on before and judging every man that you meet against, the exes that you've had, you're always going to find something wrong, right? You need to sort of say, okay, well, this is a different person. Everybody comes from a different viewpoint. Everybody has different baggage, and we all have baggage. And especially the women I work with, they're over 40. You don't get to 40 without any baggage at all. Okay? I've got a lot for sure. It's a question of how you handle it, right? And they're going to have baggage too, and they're going to handle it the way they handle it. That's what you're looking for, is somebody who is able to sort of move past that. And you can't always compare them to what you've had before, because You know, so many women that I speak to, they get so frustrated that their whole attitude is, well, men are scum. All men are awful, right? And I'm pretty sure that's not true. You know, I know some lovely men who happen to be married to friends of mine. You know, it's like they're not all awful. You can't write off a whole part of the human race. So yeah, you've got to let go of some of the stuff that's happened to you before. But
And you also
you're also using it to inform you, to have lessons learned for what you want next time.
And you also talked about, which I thought this was really interesting, popular names for the way that prospective matches treat other people in modern dating. Now, modern dating, you know, has changed a lot. So you talked about ghosting and catfishing, and I think kitten fishing was one of them. There's all these different.
I love that one. That was like, I'm like, that is so cute. It's really not
that
cute.
was a new one.
And
so talk to me a lot about that, the things that you see when you talk to women and they talk about their dating experience. Maybe not, we don't have time to touch on all of them, but maybe some of the more common approaches to modern dating that you've seen, and how women can, you know, get past that to find the love of their lives.
Right. You know, I think one of the biggest ones, the ghosting is really the biggest thing that happens. And I call it the shiny object syndrome. Like somebody is, you know, they'll be texting you, they'll be all in, they'll be like, oh, you know, let's meet again. They don't actually set a date, right? That's a problem. But they're like, oh yeah, I'll meet you again. And then, but there's so many other things out there. And it's like, oh, but wait, she texted me, you know, and then they forget and they move to the next shiny object. And the really important thing to remember is that it is not personal. Like, it sounds so crazy not to take a relationship personally. I mean, this is not a relationship. This is like, that's the other thing. You've only been texting with this guy or been on one date with him. You know, this is not like the love of your life, right? This is some guy that you talk to. So you cannot take it personally. It's not about you. It's not because this, you know, you start to say, oh, why didn't he like me? Did I say something wrong? You know, and then you angst over it and it becomes this big deal and it makes you scared to do the next one. But it's like, it's not about you. Something happened and he just moved on. Right. And that's really the biggest issue in modern dating, I think, that's hard for women to take.
And you talk to women and they talk to you and they get advice and they're able to go on to have some successful relationships, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, I mean, I think it's on my Facebook page and maybe on my website too. I have a testimonial of ex-clients who have said to me, and we weren't even focused on dating, to be honest, with those women. You know, we were focused on just losing those negative emotions and moving on and getting security and feeling self-confident. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, if you know who you are and you know what you want and you're willing to walk away from something is not what you want and stick out and believe that you're deserving of the best, that's when you're able to open up and you start to attract a different type of person towards you. And so, yeah, so, you know, they're like, thank me, like I got it together. I knew what I want. I loved myself. I understood what my boundaries were. And now I've met this great guy. You know what I mean? It's like, it's pretty cool, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, your book, as I said, is Too Scared to Love Again, The Divorced Woman's Guide to Sidestep the Red Flags, Delight in Dating, and Find the Love You Deserve. Now, how can people get a copy of it? How can they find out more about you, talk to you, and work with you? How can they get in touch with you?
Okay, so my website is findfabulouswithfiona.com. But if they want a free copy of the book, they can just go to datingafterdivorcehelp.com. And that will take them to a free copy of the book. So it's datingafterdivorcehelp.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Fiona. That was great.
Thank you, Alissa.
All right. And next we have Dr. Yani Feliciano. Your book is Should I Get a Chiropractor? Are Chiropractors Quacks, or should you see one right away? How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm excited to talk to you. So you talk in your book about how a lot of people think of chiropractors, they think of just crack your back. But that's not, I mean, there's a lot more to being a chiropractor than that. So explain about chiropractors and how they actually focus on overall health and how all that works. So tell us about chiropractor work.
Well, I've been a chiropractor for over 30 years, and most of my patients would come to me because they have back pain. And what I heard for many, many years, when people would come to me, they would have pain for 10, 15, 20 years. And I'm like, well, why did you wait so long? A lot of them know what chiropractic is all about. It's very, if you have a chiropractor, you know what it's about. But for those people that have never gone, they've heard good things, they've heard bad things. They're going to crack your back. What does it actually do? We actually work on the nervous system, and the nervous system controls everything in the body. So I wrote the book because of the confusion that I heard from many of my patients. I also, you go on social media and you have friends that are posting about their back pain or they pulled a muscle. Should I go to a chiropractor? And somebody chimes in, oh no, chiropractors are for joints and for bones. They won't help you with the muscle problem. And I'm like cringing every time that advice is going out there and people don't know what they're talking about. And they really mean well. They're trying to help people, but they just don't know. They don't know what chiropractic is all about. And that's why I wrote this book, so that it's clear for people, what is it about? How can it help me? It does deal with a lot of other things other than just back pain, and just kind of trying to help people along so that they don't take forever into getting a chiropractor if that's something that they really need to do.
And I liked how you said that some people think chiropractors aren't real doctors, but you actually went into all of the extensive medical training, and in fact, saying that the only medical doctor that has more hours in neurology than a chiropractor is a neurologist. So talk to us about that, because you said how you specifically look for interference in the nervous system in the body. That was fascinating to me. So talk to us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Well, as chiropractors, we have the same or very similar medical education as like a medical doctor in the early years, classroom hours. And then later on, we kind of diverge. They go into pharmacology, training, surgery, whatever their specialty is. And we go into chiropractic technique, toxicology, and different things that we do. But as a chiropractor, our main goal is to find any kind of nervous system interference. And when we find that nervous system interference, we remove it, because anything that puts pressure on your nerves is bad, because those nerves go everywhere. They go to cells, organs, muscles, tissues, they go everywhere. And only 18% of the fibers in those nerves transmit pain signals. So the other 82% do not. So you can have a problem and you don't even know you have a problem. So you're running around until you get some, severe symptoms, and then you think, okay, I got to go see someone. So chiropractors, we remove the interference off the nervous system, and we allow the nerve to work the way it's designed to, and then the body can heal.
Is there a benefit to the chiropractor's holistic approach versus going to a doctor that may prescribe medicine or surgery or something like that? What's the benefit to going to a chiropractor instead?
Well, a chiropractor, we deal with non-surgical, non-medical approaches to helping people. If somebody has a problem and they have an irritated nerve, you can take a medication for that, but what is that actually doing to fix the problem? It's kind of like if I stood on your foot and I just stood on there, eventually you'd want to get me off of your foot, but if you take a medication, you might not feel me on your foot. However, think about this. How much medication do you actually have to take so that you don't feel me standing on your foot? If your foot was a nerve, that's a lot of medication. And I would still be standing on your foot. So if your foot represents a nerve, that nerve pressure needs to be released. So that's what we do as chiropractors. If it's a chiropractic problem, it's the only thing that's going to resolve the problem. Because if you take a medication or you wait till it gets to the point where it's bad enough where you have to have a surgery, that's maybe not the best approach. Prevention is key, but you want to get things earlier than waiting till they get worse.
What are some conditions or some issues someone might be having that you would recommend they go see a chiropractor? Like in my own personal life, when I was pregnant, someone recommended that I go see a chiropractor because I was having some pains. And so that's one that I can think of in my own life. But what are some conditions someone might have where you'd say, hey, that's a good idea to go talk to a chiropractor about that?
Anytime you don't feel great, if you're not feeling well for anything, chiropractic may be able to help. Chiropractic works on taking the stress off of the nervous system, and we get stress mentally, physically, chemically. So you might say you have like stress from the quarantine situation that people are going through, their job, loss of income. That affects the body detrimentally. And if there's nerves in the body that have pressure on them, they're not going to work properly. So that might come out as like allergies or irritability and mood swings. There's different things. It's hard to say all of the conditions. We help people function the best way that they can function holistically, and that could be many different things. But the main 7 things that most people don't know that chiropractors help with are headaches, insomnia, fatigue, allergies and sinus issues, irritability and mood swings, pain anywhere in the body, and then digestive disturbances. If there's nerves that are irritated, putting pressure on the body, those can be signs that you should go to a chiropractor.
Wow, so a variety of conditions. Now, is it true that if you go once, you'll always have to go?
No, in our office, most of our people, we explain things and we talk about relief care, which is the care necessary to get rid of the symptoms only. Most people want their symptoms to be gone, but they don't want them to come back. So they choose to have corrective care, which is not only getting rid of the symptoms, but fixing the underlying root of the problem. And many times when people get that correction, there is a beginning, middle, and an end of treatment. They feel so good. They just want to continue because they don't want to get to the point where they're allowing their bodies to get in a rut again. So it's their choice. We explain the different types of treatment, but they decide what do they want, and they choose it. But many people do like to continue with chiropractic because they feel so good.
Well, that is such great information. Again, your book is Should I Get a Chiropractor? Are Chiropractors Quacks, or should you see one right away? And how can people learn more about you and get a copy of your book?
Well, I believe that we are sending everyone on the call a copy of the book, but my website is shouldIgetachiropractor.com, and they can get a book there. And that's how they can contact me, basically. shouldIgetachiropractor.com.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much.
All right. And up next, we have Lisa Gay Nichols. Your book is called Crazy Little Thing Called Teens, The Mom's Guide to Stopping the Conflict and Bringing Peace to Your Home. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, Alissa. Great. How about yourself?
Well, I've got my 3 nieces staying with us for a couple of weeks, and they're all teens. So this is very interesting just to hear the things you had to say about teen life. And I am a mom. My son is 3, so I'm not in the teen world yet, but some of the things you said seem to apply even when teenagers are just visiting. So, so let's talk about your book. You talked about emotional freedom techniques, EFT. So tell us what that is.
Emotional freedom techniques is also called tapping, and it's a tool or a modality that I use to help moms and dads. I do work with dads, but I focus mostly on moms, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Okay. But EFT is a modality that is really very effective at helping people remove emotional blocks or charges, and also kind of limiting beliefs or things that you believe about yourself, your world, about parenting, about your children that don't support or really serve you as the parent of a teenager. And the reason I'll go back to the reason I work with moms is because when your teenagers are acting out, it's usually the moms who bear the brunt of the anger, the rebellion, the disrespect. And if there is any violence, it's usually against the mom. So it's usually, the moms are usually the ones that are the primary caretakers of organizing the family life and the teens, getting them to their practices and everything that they normally do, not right now, of course. And so it's typically the mom, and the mom typically has like, they've been a mom for so long, they're so connected into the idea of being a mom, that when their teenager starts to individuate or separate out, as they're programmed to do, it actually can be a lot harder on the mom a lot of times.
And before we get into exactly what is tapping, let's talk about your experience and why you decided to write this book.
Sure, yeah. I really could have used some help when I was going through the teenagerhood, especially of my son. We had a difficult time with him, a lot of struggles for years with him. And I truly believe if I'd had the tool and if I had a coach, a parenting coach, I'm a life coach that focuses on working with parents, it really could have helped me out so much. I think we could have gotten through that time easier, faster, better, way less expensively. We did end up sending him away to residential therapeutic school. There was just a lot that went into that. And that's, now I want to help parents, moms, and dads who are struggling, not just with out of control teens, but just teenagers in general. It's just, it can be, teenagers don't have to be out of control to be frustrating and irritating and overwhelmingly awful, sometimes. So, yeah.
So let's talk about tapping. I love the nap example. Like when I read your book, the nap example helped. How you were saying how your kid goes out for a nap and like you could have been doing laundry and like that, or even the taking out the trash example. Like you come home from work and your teenager is supposed to have taken out the trash and they didn't. So explain tapping. If you can use that example or use a different example, but explain tapping to us.
Okay, one of the things that happens with moms and teens is they get into this constant kind of ongoing battle. Like I've told you it a million times, take out the trash before I get home from work, right? And so if it depends on how the mom wants to feel about that and what they believe about that. So if they can do some tapping, they can tap through their frustration, the feeling of not being heard, the beliefs about their teens, like, oh, my teen is so lazy, I don't know how they're ever going to get a good job. All that kind of stuff. They can tap through what they're feeling and believing about the situation, so that then when they come back to work with their teen, they're coming from a whole different place. A lot of times it's our energy that we put into this that then the teen is reacting to. And if you can get to a place basically of neutrality and be able to deal with that, then they don't have anything to react to. And so tapping is really great at like I said, at removing those emotional charges and beliefs. Like let's say that you think that them not taking out the trash is disrespecting you, and that and you were raised in a way that your children should never disrespect you. Well, you can tap through how that belief was formed and get to a point where you can look at that belief. Does it serve me? Is it serving me in this relationship with my teenager right now? Is there a different way I can look at this kind of situation?
And when you're saying tapping, you really mean like you're like tapping. So I don't know if we don't want to give away what they can learn in the book, but maybe show us a little bit of what that looks like.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We always start with a setup statement. The setup statement is, even though I am so frustrated with my teenager, I can't stand it that I came home again today and the trash still wasn't taken out, I deeply love and completely accept myself. So that's the only time you're tapping with the side of your hand. And then as you go other tapping points, and you're just saying little reminder phrases. I'm so frustrated. I can't believe it happened again. And you're just tapping through. When is he ever going to listen to me? And so you're just going through a pattern of it's basically meridian points or energy points in your body.
So what's the benefit of, because I understand like saying these things, but tell me what's the connection between saying them while tapping at the same time?
Well, the amygdala, the limbic system, is a nonverbal part of your brain. And so you can talk at it all you want, and it's not going to hear you. So if you have some kind of emotion stuck in your amygdala, or some belief or some association of with your hippocampus, of where the memories are and the feelings, the amygdala, it's really hard to get to that part of the body. And so by the tapping somehow, truthfully, I don't know the scientific way that it works, but it works.
But it works.
Yeah, it just rewires those connections within the amygdala. And it's that whole fight, flight, freeze. It's especially the freeze reaction that you get, that you can have when you go into a traumatic experience or a frustrating experience. It helps to like release those things that you're holding on to. Did that explain?
Very well.
Great.
Yeah, that was very good
Okay.
explanation. And you talk about a lot in your book, and even just your experience on how you tell parents that you help them let go of those beliefs, those emotional triggers, and it's not personal. Just a lot of things in that book that I think parents could really benefit from. So again, your book is called Crazy Little Thing Called Teens: The Mom's Guide to Stopping the Conflict and Bringing Peace to Your Home. And how can people find out more about you?
Well, lisagaynnichols.com is my website, but you can download the book for free at crazylittlethingcalledteens.com.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. Very informative. Thank you. All right. And next we have Dr. Connie. Dr. Connie, your book is Prevent Nearsightedness and Preserve Perfect Eyesight, an essential and simple manual for your child's clear vision without glasses. Now, this is really interesting. Also, all these books are interesting. So Dr. Connie, tell us, first of all, why did you decide to write this book?
Thank you for being here with us. And also, I'm very excited to share with you my story, why I wrote this book. Basically, I was a patient myself. I mean, not seeing when I was 16 and driving on the street at night and got into really bad accident and find out that actually I was nearsighted, meaning that I can see near clearly, but at far it's so blurry. So after that, we found out that my eyes were so bad that I had to wear glasses. So my journey went from there to become an eye doctor to prevent someone else to be having to go through what I went through, being in shock and near-death experience with car accident or any life experiences. But the book came about because I focused on helping kids. And all those years, and I've been teaching kids how to do this, tips, prevention, do this, do that, but it's all verbally. So the book has to come out in a written form that we can share more than just me repeating it 1,000 times or 100,000 times and only helping certain patients, certain kids, because I want it to be mainstream, that people know the tips and how to use the eyes so it won't get worse. So that's the purpose of writing the book. And it came about perfect time that we're in a time when the kids are in school, at home, online, doing their homework over Zoom, and also additionally on iPhone, iPad, and video games nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I always thought of like your eyesight, you either have great eyesight or you don't. But you're saying that you can actually improve your child's eyesight. So talk to me a little bit more about that.
So you're actually right that we pretty much majority of us have perfect eyesight. Perfect eyesight is determined like 20/20, meaning that you can see 20/20 at a certain distance, the 20 letter size. And so when we were born with perfect eyesight, with perfect health, then we tend to maintain that eyesight, perfect eyesight, if we know how to use it. So, but like we mentioned earlier, we are on digital device nonstop, so it put a lot of stress on the system. And our system, the young system, the teenager, even the toddlers, they actually have iPads now, 2 years old.
Oh yeah, I have a 3-year-old. He may or may not have an iPad. Just saying.
I don't know. So it's because how we use our eyes. So now if we put the eye system in a stress situation, that if we are aware of it, hopefully the book came out in a certain time that someone is reading it and put it into use, then it can be reversed back to release the tension before it become embedded, meaning that it's stuck in our tissue and it changes the structure inside the eye so that it become permanent. So it's possible. So it can be reversed or it can be maintained, and it can prevent from getting worse and worse every year. And I've seen people get worse. We have children come to our office sometimes nearly blind, and we cannot help. But if they can't come in earlier, or they use what we give them as tips, it can help them maintain even reverse. So that's I would say a sight saver appointment.
A sight saver, I like that. So is it only for nearsightedness, or does it also, do your techniques also work for farsightedness?
Basically, farsighted is actually a structure that we're born with. So a person was born with certain eyesight. So a farsighted person has a shorter eyeball size, basically.
Okay.
So, that cannot be trained. But what I have another therapy that I can help that person see clearly without glasses, even for farsight, nearsight, astigmatism, or old eyes. So people over 40. So that's another therapy. But training is also, and usage, how to use the eyes effectively day in and day out, is very, very critical for maintaining overall health for many years to come.
This probably is something that a lot of parents are thinking about because they are doing the online school and spending a lot of time in front of the screens. Do you have any advice for parents who, you know, maybe their kid does have trouble with eyesight now and they don't want to make it worse, but they also have to do their schoolwork on a screen? What advice do you have for those parents?
That's a perfect question. That's why the book came about. The book have very, very, very simple, easy to do exercise, follow guidelines, techniques, breaks, mental thinking, but basically just to go over one of my favorite, and all my patients pretty much they have it memorized, is the 20-20-20 rule. So basically, when they're on the computer, every 20 minutes they need to get up or look away at a distance 20 for 20 seconds at a distance 20 feet. So 20, 20, every 20 minutes, take by 20 seconds and look far away 20 feet. But now we talk about little kids, like we talk about 3, 7, 8 years old. You should not let them sit for 20 minutes. So it goes by age. So if your child is 3 years old, the longest you should let them look at an iPhone or iPad is 3 minutes. So child is 7 years old, is 7 minutes they need to get up. And that's how we can maintain the eye to be healthy for a long time, because you don't want to put them in a stressful system that they become so basically adaptation, adapt for that position, the near position. And when they look up, their eyes cannot no longer handle the long distance. They just adapt for near distance. So that's the tip, that get up and go outside is the best. And of course, the exercise help.
I like that. I think I'm gonna try that 20-20-20 for myself. I feel like I should look away for a little bit. I've been looking at the screen. Thank you so much. Your book, again, is Prevent Nearsightedness and Preserve Perfect Eyesight, an essential and simple manual for child's clear vision without glasses. And how can our viewers learn more about you?
Thank you. So I'm actually on Facebook a lot under my last name, Vuong Optometry, or they can go on my website, which is DR, which stands for doctor, and then my last name, V like Victor, and then L like Linda, and C.com. So drvlc.com, that's my website where they can learn more about us. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And next we have Mrs. Angela Yousey. Your book is Reignite Passion, the Guide to a Happier Marriage. Hi, Mrs. Yousey. I feel like I should call you that, even though I know it's Angie to all your friends.
That's all right. Hi, how are you?
I'm excited to talk to you about your book. I read it, you know, I'm like, I'm newer in my marriage than you've been married for almost 30 years now, right?
Right.
Wow. So yeah, you have a lot of expertise. You were married before, and this is your second marriage. You guys raised 6 sons together. Correct. That's a book by itself.
Exactly.
So talk to us about why you decided to write this book.
Yeah, well, you know, we had, when we first got married, because the dynamics of our family and how difficult it is to merge 2 already established families together. And then also, you know, having 6 boys. So it was a lot of work. And people would ask, how do you guys maintain your relationship? And you can pretty much tell a good relationship when you see it, you know, and people would always ask, how do you guys do this and have all these kids and have a business and have, you know, my career? So, you know, we just knew kind of how to maintain a healthy relationship. We always said, and, you know, even from the start, that we needed to make sure our relationship stayed current. So we put a lot of time in us, and my husband would always say, one day these boys are going to be gone. So we've got to just slow down and take time for us. So we did.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I think I met you probably like 10 years ago now. But when I met you, I thought, oh, they just got married because you guys are so like just obviously in love. But no, you've been married for a long time. So that's a great example.
Awesome.
Now, you talk about in your book that a great marriage is not an unrealistic expectation. And so talk to me a little bit about that, because there is, even this week, we hear bad marriage for life with a certain celebrity couple. But tell us how a great marriage is not an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's just one of those things, you have to see value in it. You know, people who prepare for marriage, they spend on average 13 months preparing for marriage, but then most people don't even do premarital counseling. So you have to invest time into it. It just doesn't just work on its own. You know, if you think of a business, you have business meetings, you have planning meetings, you know, marriage has to be the same way. You just can't expect it to be successful without investing any time into it. So we've always, you know, made sure, and even with the couples that we coach with, that's usually one of our assignments. You know, you guys have got to plan a date before you come back to us. So, you know, keeping it fresh, and it should be something where you just go and enjoy each other and laugh and have fun and keep that spark kind of lit in your relationship.
Yeah, you talked about how people prepare like for a wedding. They spend months and months preparing for that wedding, but not for the marriage. And then you also compared marriages to a garden. So talk to me about that analogy.
Yeah, it's one of our favorite analogies, because a garden is, your marriage is your garden. It's where you have to invest in some time into it. Otherwise, if you don't go pull your weeds, the weeds will overtake your garden. You might get a little bit of benefit out of it, but not as much as you could. So we always tell people, what are the weeds in your relationship? Is it too much time investing into the kids and none investing in yourself? Is it too much time spending it on social media or girlfriends, or, you know, whatever it is, you have to limit. You know, social media has been a big conversation with most of the couples that come to us anymore. And, you know, we spend a lot of time discussing, okay, if that's a weed in your relationship, do you really have to have that? You know? So it's just evaluating what's really necessary in your relationship. You know, is it just noise? Is it just weeds? If so, you really don't have to have those things if your marriage is really valuable to you.
And you also talked about that the greatest weapon that you use to take care of yourselves and each other is to spend time in prayer and in the Word. So tell us about that and how that's had an effect on your marriage.
Yeah. Oh boy. You know, honestly, without it, I don't even know, because there's times when, you know, I always tell people prayer is not some, you know, just some religious, you know, exercise that we want people to do. It really does help you to hear the heart of your mate, because you don't go to prayer and waste time praying about things that really don't matter to you. You're praying about those important issues, and then you're moving on. So when my husband and I pray, it always touches my heart every single day, because we pray every day. And when he prays for me, he will say things that I didn't even know he was even thinking about or concerned about. Even this morning, he in our prayer time, he prayed about this interview with all of us today. And I didn't even know he really knew it was happening. So, you know, it just touched my heart that he paid attention. So when you do pray, it connects you to, and you hear the heart of each other. And also it takes the pressure off of just you two fixing your issues or fixing the things that concern you. You actually are asking God's help. So, you know, that's alone kind of develops great unity in the marriage.
Absolutely. You waited until the end of the book to talk about sex, and then you even talked about finance a little bit too. And I think some people feel like, well, we have a bad marriage because the sex is the problem, but you're saying that may be the outgrowth of other problems if people feel like they're having problems with sex in their marriage. So tell me about that.
Sure. So usually, now, unless there's some medical condition, then sex is something that people think happens in the bedroom, but it doesn't. Sex happens all day long, you know, just that chemistry, just that special. My husband, he always finds songs on the radio and he sends them to me, and he'll say, you need to listen to this song. It reminds me of you. You know, that's preparing me for the act of sex. You know, if he just came home, hadn't talked to me all day, hadn't been concerned about my day, didn't check in with me, and then come to bed and want to have sex, it probably is not going to be very good. So, but because he did all those things to keep us connected throughout the day, sex is just effortless. You know, that's the way it's supposed to work.
Talk to us real quick about guarding your heart. I thought that was so powerful when you talked about that section in your book. So tell us what you mean when you say that couples should guard their heart. Yeah,
you know, a lot of people, especially with now access to the internet, even on your phones, a lot of couples that we deal with, they're dealing with pornography, you know, just the text messages, flirting on the internet. Those are the things that you allow in your heart. The heart is, out of it comes the issues of life. Everything that's important to you is in your heart. You know, all of us doing what we do here, all of these beautiful authors, these are the things that are really important to them, that's in their heart, that drives us. So you have to protect your heart, because it could lead you to divorce even. So a lot of people don't realize. We had a couple we work with, and he has a habit of, he likes to flirt. He said he enjoys it. He enjoys the attention of it, but it's not going to go anywhere, he says. But, you know, those are the kind of things that you have to realize can go somewhere. And so, you know, just protecting your heart, what you allow into it, is extremely important, and it's going to, you know, determine which direction your marriage is going to go in. Really, really good advice. So your book, again, is Reignite Passion, The Guide to a Happier Marriage. And tell us how people can find out more about you and get a copy of your book. Great. So we are on Facebook, of course, like everybody else. And it's The Real Marriage with the Youseys. And also you can go to our website, which is www.therealmarriage.com. All right. Well, thank you so much. Now I want to give the authors just a quick opportunity. I know sometimes when we're talking and you think like, oh, I really wanted to say that and didn't get a chance to. So if you have anything else you want to add, anything about your book to our viewers that are watching, now is a great time to do that. So Fiona, I'll start with you. If there's anything you want to say to the viewers that are watching, anything else that you want to mention about your book.
Ooh, I had to find myself to unmute me. No, I would just say, you know, I'm actually, if you want this book, you may want the first book too. So if you want both of them, I'm happy to share both of them. The first one is called Fearful to Fabulous. Unlock Your Power, Move On and Thrive After Midlife Divorce. So it's kind of you read one, then read the other one, and then you're all set, right? All set to go. And then you're going to need Angela to help you out. So right. Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I really actually learned so much from listening. I know all these women really well, but I just learned so much from listening to that. And thank you as well. I wanted to say thank you too for your wonderful questions.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Dr. Yani, is there anything else you want to say about your book?
No, not really. Just if you're even thinking about maybe seeing a chiropractor, definitely read the book if you have questions. But when you go to a chiropractor, it's not like you're going for life. It's not like you're getting married. You're going to chat with someone and to see if it's a fit, to see if your problem is a problem that can be fixed. Most chiropractors do a free consultation where you can chat with them and determine if your problem is a chiropractic problem and see if it's a good fit for you with that particular chiropractor. There's good and bad of everything. And I think it's just great to be able to have an opportunity to chat with someone about that. And that's it. If anyone wants my book, they could, ask me for that as well. But should I get a chiropractor.com is where we get the second book. And thank you so much for having me here today.
Absolutely. And Lisa, is there anything you want to say about your book?
Yes, there are really two purposes of the work that I do with moms. The first is like what I talked about releasing triggers, emotional patterns that harm their relationship with their child. And by doing so, they get a lot more clear on what's going on, what they should do, because you get to see the situation from a different perspective. So then you get kind of new ideas, new energy for working with your teenager, for creating that peace in your home that you want. And the other one is just, it's just as important, is helping the moms go through those teen years. That can be just so, like I was saying, so frustrating and so overwhelming. And just, so the work not only helps them kind of rekindle their love for their child, let go of outdated, unrealistic beliefs about parenting, and just kind of change that whole dynamic with their child. But whatever happens, they also can be calmer, freer, happier, just kind of not go through those teenage years stressed and uptight and overwhelmed. And it sounds crazy to some, but it's not necessary to be stressed and overwhelmed when you have a teenager in the house.
That's really comforting words. Thank you so much. And Dr. Connie, is there anything else you wanted to say about your book?
Yeah, thank you. So the information in my book is to help children preserve their eyes for better. And since I'm a local business, there are a lot of doctors who also share that same passion that what I do. So if they feel they need to find a doctor locally, they can contact me through the book. Or if the doctor, they do not provide this kind of service, my first book also can help the doctor guide the book to provide this kind of service. So the goal for me is to kind of share my passion to preserve vision for children for a brighter future. And so if they need to, just contact me through my email website, drvlc.com. So we can help preserve the children's vision, because they are the generation future of our nation. Thank you so much for having me, and also thank you for hosting us today.
Absolutely. And Angela, is there anything you want to say, anything else you want to say about your book?
Yes, I would. I would like to just say that it's never too late to reignite passion. So I don't, if you've been married for just 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 30 years even, it's still never too late. And I always say, nobody got married so that they could have a boring relationship. You got married because you felt that passion. So why not rekindle it and reignite it? So yeah, reach out to us if you need a little help with that, and we would be happy to even do a Zoom call, or if you're not local, we'll meet with you here.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. This is such an exciting thing to do, to talk to you guys. All of you are amazing authors. I had the chance to read your books, and I feel just smarter and ready to take on the world. And each of these different topics are fantastic. So thank you all so much. You're all such talented writers, and I'm really blessed to have been able to talk to you today. And thank you to everyone for watching this webinar. I know that you learned a lot. Be sure to reach out to these authors, get their books, get this information, and it'll definitely help you.
Thank you, Alissa.
Thank you.